Jiri Prochazka might be moving to middleweight. That could be fun. There's been more eye poke drama. When's the UFC going to sort this out? Aspinall's dad speaks about his son going into boxing yet again. Bo Nickal has been demoted from the UFC 322 main card to the prelims. And Ronda Rousey has had her say about Dana White and why he's so integral to MMA. People, it's been a while. Hope you're well. It's MMA Monday Live. Let's get into it. Hello, everyone. Hope you're all well. Please do smash the like button and subscribe if this is your first time on the channel. On the road to 8,000 subs, so please be a part of the journey. Hope you're all well, people. It's been a while since I've done a little live show by myself here on Sanderson Show, but I'm getting back into the groove of it. The kids have gone back to school after half term. Things are a bit more settled in my household, and there is a lot of drama going on in MMA right now, particularly in the UFC. And let's start with the number one contender in the light heavyweight division, Jiri Prochazka. In my opinion, probably the most exciting fighter on the roster. I know you've got your Justin Gaethjes, your Alex Pereiras, etc. But this guy, I mean, he's not been in a boring fight since he's been in the UFC. Like, literally hasn't been in one boring fight. The others have been in at least one boring fight. Maybe not Gaethje, actually. Maybe not Gaethje. But the others, like Pereira, has been in one boring fight, the fight he had with Ankalaev the first time round. Jiri literally is kill or be killed. And the only person who's beaten him in the UFC is Alex Pereira. Apart from that, he's beaten everyone else. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, he's stopped everyone else. You remember that spinning back elbow against Dominic Reyes? Crazy. Volkan Oezdemir, knockout, crazy. Khalil Roundtree, crazy. Glover Teixeira losing the fight, submission in the last couple of seconds, crazy. Wins the belt that way. Jamal Hill, stoppage. The guy is a Terminator, unless he find Alex Pereira, who himself is the ultimate Terminator. But he has spoken about his desire potentially to move down in weight. So I'm going to get the actual quote so I don't misquote the one and only Jiri Prochazka. And his actual words were that if Alex Pereira goes up to heavyweight, he'd be potentially open to fighting at middleweight if he's not able to get the title shot. Now, I'm going to just bring up the middleweight rankings right now because the middleweight division is quite popping at the moment. If I'm going to be honest, it's thriving quite well. And I look at this division and think if Jiri, who he says he can get down to the weight healthy, and who are we to kind of doubt Jiri? And you look at the light heavyweight division, you'll be able to see both guys, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe I'll zoom in so you can see it slightly better. Let me just zoom in for you guys. So the two divisions side by side. So you see the light heavyweight division. Alex Pereira is a champion, but he's beaten Jiri twice. So it's quite hard to sell a rematch there. Jiri has beaten Khalil Roundtree, Jamal Hill, Dominic Reyes, Volkan Oezdemir. How can I forget about Rakic as well? He's beaten 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the top 10. Now, the common consensus is either him or Carlos Ulberg to get the next title shot. Now, there are still fun fights for Jiri. He's still got the Magomed Ankalaev fight, which I think is fun. Carlos Ulberg fight is fun. And Jan Blachowicz. Again, I think Jan Blachowicz is probably a slept-on fighter in this division. Also, the Mirza Khanov fight. Like, his knockout of Rakic recently was kind of eye-opening for everyone. So, I mean, so there are still fun fights for Jiri at 205. The problem he's got is he's cleared out a lot of the division. He's almost a Max Holloway of that division, in the sense of Max beat everyone but lost to Volkanovski. Yuri's beating everyone, but he's losing to Pereira. So it is hard to sell a rematch, but given that, Max did get a third fight against Volkanovski, but he got a third fight because the second fight was so close and so controversial. Now, with Jiri, I don't think that's the case, because he got stopped both times by Alex Pereira. The first time you could say maybe it was an early stoppage. Second time, you'd argue say it was a late stoppage. Like he took a bit of a beating in that one. But the middleweight division is very fun. So the champion is obviously Hamza. Jiri versus Hamza, brilliant fight. I know people are automatically going to be like, Hamza's wrestling. Yuri's fought people and no one's really been able to keep him down. Plus, you got to fight Jiri for every single second of every single round. Unless you stop him, he showed against Glover Teixeira, he's never going to be able to fight. Dracus du Plessis versus Jiri. I mean, another man who doesn't really have a boring fight is Dracus. Dracus versus Jiri is bloody fun. Then you got Imavov. Again, one of the quickest strikers in the whole division. Probably the quickest striker. Made Carvalho look normal. Knocked out Izzy Adesanya. That's a fun fight. Then the Strickland fight. The trash talk from one side and the stoic and samurai spirit of another side. That could be fun. Anthony Fluffy Hernandez. Another fun fight. That would be a fight of imposing wills. Brendan Allen, who's just come off a win against RDR. Another fun fight. I don't think he'd fight Adesanya because I think they're quite close friends. So I don't think that fight would happen. But again, imagine how fun that fight would be. Kai Bahalio, Ryan Derrida, like, who in my opinion probably should move up to 205. And then Robert Whittaker, Jared Cannonier, Michael Venom Page versus Jiri. That's a striker's dream. Jiri at middleweight would be flipping fun. It would be fun. But I don't know if he needs to make that move, because if Alex goes up, I think the UFC will make him vacate his light heavyweight belt. And I think Olberg and Jiri are shooing for that spot. They're a shoo-in for that fight. So me personally, if I'm Jiri, I kind of just bide my time and wait. But at the same time, as a fan, I'm not mad at Jiri moving to 185. I'm not mad at it. I'm not mad at Jiri fluctuating between 185 and 205 either. I'm just not mad at it, guys. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Liam says, shame Dana don't like fun. I hear you, bro. It's real. It's actually real. Like, it's crazy. Like, I don't get it myself, bro. I don't get it myself. Shout out to Mantis, says, Cal, he's not ready, but Dante Johnson is going to be a problem. Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that myself as well. Not there quite yet, though. But yeah, be fun. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Shout out Fake Pundit, Mizorni, Liam, Duke Sports, Big Country, Mantis, Ash. Big up each and every one of you. Do smash that like button, please, guys. Would be greatly appreciated. Right. A couple of weeks ago, I think the worst thing could potentially happen in the heavyweight division, and that was the fight between Aspinall and Cyril Gane, finished via a no contest because of an illegal eye poke. But the eye poke was deemed not illegal or not intentional. Now, there's so many semantics around it. In football, if it's a foul, it's a foul. In MMA, it seems as though they're making up the rules as they go along. There needs to be a hard decision being made. And I think Herb Dean came out recently and said they're going to have a sit down, him and the rest of the referees, as to what happens with this situation. At the weekend, we saw even more drama. And this time it involved Wilder. And I want to play this clip from Michael Bisping and DC, who both have been on the receiving ends of eye pokes. In Michael Bisping's case, his came from a kick from Vitor Belfort, but DC effectively was fighting with one eye against Stipe in his very last fight, which again was a blatant eye poke, and Mark Goddard missed it. And look, I'm not gonna go off on Mark Goddard. He's one of the best refs in the game, but if he can miss it, then anyone can. So I just want to play this clip because Bisping and DC have spoken about it. So let's see what they had to say.
I've never seen anything like this in all of the time that I've been involved with mixed martial arts. I have never in my life seen anything like it.
It was definitely a first. It's not. There's going to be a lot of people talking about Tom after this.
I don't think it can be directly.
No, it can't.
Related.
It can't. No, it cannot. It's just like it's just fate almost. Like because people are going to talk shit, right? Ante Delia is a training partner of Tom Aspinall.
Yep.
Tom didn't continue. He said apparently he still can't see. So
he still can't see.
You can't talk shit. You can't. But Waldo did carry on.
And he knocked him out right away.
And then he knocked him out
that
cold.
Was the craziest story.
Right, for context, guys. And this has been broken down brilliantly by MMA On Point. In the Waldo versus Delia fight, Waldo got hit. The ref jumps in, but doesn't wave it off. Then Delia's team, but he says he doesn't wave it off. It kind of looked like he got waved off to me. Then Delia's team are celebrating in the cage. The ref checks the replay. The replay shows it was an eye poke on Waldo. Then the commentators, because of what's happened recently, start to debate whether it should be a DQ or a no contest. The fights continue, though. Official confirmed it was an eye poke. Give him a timeout. Waldo could choose to continue the fight. And 30 seconds later, he ends up KOing Waldo. And then as soon as the fight's over, he grabs his eye because he's still in pain. The first thing everyone's going to do here is go, we knew Tom Aspinall faked it. We knew he wanted a way out because look what Waldo just did. Now, every eye poke is different. That's the first thing, guys. Just like every shot below the belt is different, every eye poke is different. Waldo, while making himself look amazing, has also crapped on Tom as well. Because if I'm not mistaken, he came out after the fight and said, I'd rather go out and lose because of an eye poke than call for a no contest. Now, Tom Aspinall apparently still can't see out the eye. Waldo's eye was really bad as well. But a lot of MMA fans are going to jump on this story and go, well, if Waldo could continue, why couldn't Tom? Well, it's different situations. Firstly, Waldo has made, even though he's come out of this looking like an absolute badass, he's also contributed to the issue. And the issue is, why are eye pokes so prevalent in MMA? And that's because of the gloves. The glove situation is the reason why eye pokes are so prevalent. Look, you had Trevor Whitman come out and speak about this and the fact that he created a glove that was suitable. You've got training gloves that you see cover the hands, cover the edge of the fingers, which in my opinion could be fine as well. And I know people say, what about different types of grips and stuff? A lot of the time you grip like this, you gable gripping. A lot of the time you're not actually interlocking fingers when you're fighting in MMA. In fact, it's quite rare from most of the techniques that I've learned in jiu-jitsu and in takedowns and takedown defenses. Very rarely are you using interlocking fingers or fingers to actually, create or break away from different techniques. Again, I've been eye poked once and it wasn't even that bad and it was horrible, guys. I can only imagine what it feels like to be eye poked in a fight of these magnitudes and have to have that pressure on you to potentially continue. Shout out to Mantis, just use the damn Pride gloves. UFC literally own the pattern. Like, I don't understand the insistence from the UFC, from Dana White, to just ignore this situation. You had the gold gloves, and then you took those away because you said, or you had the new gloves and the gold gloves, and you took those away because you said there was a drop in knockouts. And John Jones also complained about it, and that kind of triggered the knock-on effect. Now you have the old gloves back, and you're seeing an increase in eye pokes. Like, what is going on here? Why is there still drama after week? Like, I can go through so many. DC versus Stipe in their first fight. DC versus Stipe in their third fight. Izzy versus Imavov. If that's not a reason for Tom to kind of sit back and go, I'm not going to take the risk, it's that fight. Everyone just remembers Izzy getting dropped by Imavov and finished on the floor with strikes. But what happened before that? He was piecing Imavov and then got eye pokes, and then a few seconds later he's KO'd. That you got that fight. You got the fight we've just seen with Wilder. You got the fight with Tom Aspinall. You got about 20 John Jones fights, all with eye pokes. Jones is literally standing there like that in your face. It's not just a problem. It's also being used as a technique. John Jones himself has said he uses it as a technique. If someone's standing there like that as a defense, then it's going to make you hesitant to go in for the takedown because you don't want your eyes poked. Shout out to John Conway in the chat. Big up yourself. Big up Chills as well. It's literally such an easy fix. Cover the fingers. Get a glove that covers the fingers, or get a glove that makes the hand curve. But do something. This is the highest level of sports in this field, and it can't be rectified. It's poor. It's like football having really poor footballs. You'd be like, this is such an easy fix. Just fix it. This is the UFC. They're about to move to Paramount in a $7.7 billion deal. You're telling me you can't fix the gloves because you can't be asked. Do you know how many more fun fights we had? We would have had a definitive heavyweight champion. Right now, the best heavyweight in the world in the UFC is currently up for debate because some people think that Cyril Gane was piecing up Aspinall, was on his way to a win. Some people think Aspinall would have taken over in the fight. But guess what? We can't prove anything because it's all speculation because we didn't get to see a definitive ending. It needs to change now. Shout out to Mantis. Yes, I remember the Verdun one as well. There have been so many bad eye pokes. All you got to do is fix the gloves. It's not, for me, it's bigger than just saying, yeah, from now on, what we'll do is we'll take a point away automatically, or we'll give time out of this amount of time. No, fix the problem at the source, get new gloves, get it sorted, man. And yeah, I don't understand why it hasn't been sorted. But sticking on the topic of Tom Aspinall, his dad has come out again, reiterating, should I say, that he wants his son to fight in boxing. And he sees it as a safer combat sport with higher pay. Now, again, maybe not the timing to do this, given what's happened with Tom Aspinall. But Aspinall's dad had spoken about this previously as well, in the lead up to the Cyril Gane fight, which, again, got a bit of backlash because people are like, are you taking your eye off the ball? Are you not focused? Guys, I'm a dad. I got 3 kids. Shout out to Ram in the building. Big up yourself, bro. I've got 3 kids. If I could find as safe a possible route to them making as much money in life and being as successful as possible, just know, guys, I would do it in a heartbeat. I would do it in a heartbeat. What Tom Aspinall's dad, big up yourself, Martin, hope you're well, bro. What Aspinall's dad is saying isn't wrong at all. Is the timing right? Probably no. It's probably not the right timing. But it's definitely not the wrong thing to say. Boxing, I would never downplay the skills you have to have in boxing. I will always maintain to be a boxer, you have to be more skillful. But to be an MMA fighter, you have to have a bigger skill set. And I tell you this straight, I rate Aspinall highly. I'd probably be even called an Aspinall fanboy. Aspinall is not beating, for me, Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua or a Usyk. He's not going to beat those guys in boxing. They've dedicated their lives to it. Tom's dedicated his life to MMA. In the same way, if Usyk, Joshua, Fury went to MMA, Aspinall does horrific things to them in the cage. We saw what Ngannou did when he fought Anthony Joshua. Now, granted, we also saw what he did with Tyson Fury, but the Joshua one stands out a bit more, right? Aspinall in boxing would be fun, but I think Aspinall still has work to do in MMA. And I don't think he's shy of that. But his dad is literally just doing what a dad should be doing, and that's looking out for his son. His dad is literally just doing what most dads would do, and that's looking out for their children. But again, this comes back to the UFC. Why is it that when fighters get to the top, at the UFC, their ambition changes and they go, I want to go into boxing. Why can't the UFC offer purses like they do in boxing? Not to every fighter, because not every fighter gets that in boxing. Let's be real about that as well, because I think there's a skew and a misconception that every single boxer gets crazy money. That's not true. But when you look at the top athletes in boxing and the top athletes in MMA, the disparity is crazy. So why is that? Why is that? Because you can create yourself such an amazing legacy. Look at some of the fighters we've had, an amazing legacy. But they don't have half the money that boxers do, who don't have the same legacy. John Jones's legacy, probably one of the biggest and best in all combat history. He never made the sort of money that Anthony Joshua was making. Never made the sort of money Deontay Wilder. Even John Jones came out and said, yeah, I'd get knocked out by Deontay Wilder for that sort of money. These guys are prize fighters. They dedicate their lives to fighting, battered, bruised, beaten down daily. They should be getting paid more. If the UFC is going to entice the next generation of athletes to come to MMA rather than go to the NFL, go to boxing, go to basketball, you've got to up the fighter pay. Do away with the bonus system, flat fees, higher money. I think Izzy came out a couple of years ago and said that there shouldn't be a UFC fighter who still has to work a job. Because you're devaluing your own product. Because if a fighter can't dedicate their all to it, then you're not going to get the best version of that fighter, which means you might not get the best fight possible, which means you might not get the best competitors as possible. And then to make matters worse, you're seeing Dana going over and promoting boxing. You're going over there and seeing him say that boxers get higher bonus pays than what UFC fighters have got over the years. For me, it's all backwards and he's getting it wrong. But Tom Aspinall's dad, Andy Aspinall, I think he should keep things in-house for a little bit, let things blow over, let his son heal up with his eye injury, then rematch Cyril Gane, get the winner of Cyril Gane, then you can start talking what you're saying. But right now, I don't think the timing's right. Moving on, Bo Nickal. A lot of people aren't fans of Bo Nickal because it seems like he's been given the red carpet treatment by the UFC. Hasn't really achieved much in MMA, but did in wrestling. Seen as American hero, the next American big champion potentially in the future. Bo Nickal's been kind of handed nice fights and good situations. Obviously lost that last time out, his first professional loss against Reno Derrida. And he was meant to be fighting on the main card of UFC 322. However, he has now been demoted to the main event of the prelims. And that fight has been replaced by Beneil Dariush versus Benoit Saint-Denis. So again, I'll share my screen with you guys. So now the main card of UFC 322, which I'll be real, looks like an absolute banger. An absolute banger is now Makhachev versus Della Maddalena in the main event. Valentina Shevchenko versus Wei Li for the UFC Women's Flyweight Championship, which is a banger. Sean Brady versus Michael Morales, a banger. Leon Edwards versus Carlos Prates, banger. And then you also have now Beneil Dariush versus Benoit Saint-Denis, banger after banger after banger after banger, as Sheamus would say in the WWE. And now in the prelims, you have Bo Nickal versus Rodolfo Vieira, Roman Kopylov versus Gregory Rodriguez, which could end up being fight of the night. Aaron Blanchfield versus Tracy Cortez, which is a really important fight in the flyweight division. Malcolm Wellmaker versus Cody Haddon, which is going to be a great fight. Meerschaft versus Kyle Docus, great fight again. Pat Sabatini versus Marsico. Angela Hill still going versus Fatima Klein. And you have Susa Karev versus McConico as well. Guys, UFC 322 could very well end up being fight card of the year. I'm not going to lie to you. And I think they made the absolute right decision. Look, from a business standpoint, it makes sense to have Bo Nickal as the main event on the prelims, but also from a competitor standpoint as well. Benoit Saint-Denis and Beneil Dariush have cut their teeth for a long time in the UFC. To put them on the prelims, I think at this stage would be pretty disrespectful unless you had genuinely 5 other fights that were better than that fight. And with all due respect to Rodolfo Barrera and Bo Nickal, their fight isn't better than Benoit Saint-Denis versus Beneil Dariush, especially with both of them coming off wins. So, in fact, no, Beneil's coming off a loss? I'm trying to remember who won at him and Moicano. Either way, that shouldn't be on the prelims with regards to Bo Nickal and Vieira being on the main card. So, absolutely right decision. Plus, the prelims is free in America, so more people will probably get to see that than the pay-per-view as well. So, makes sense. And I think Bo Nickal came out recently when he spoke to Ariel Helwani and said it wouldn't be an issue for him to be on the prelims. So, I think everyone should be happy there. And final one now, guys, for this MMA Monday show is that Ronda Rousey has come out and spoken about Dana White. And she's had glowing things to say about the UFC president, saying that when Dana's gone, I think the dominant MMA organization title will be up for grabs. I think Dana is it. Without him, it's just 3 letters. I know Dana and Ronda have a great relationship. Dana and Ronda working together elevated the UFC. And I know everyone automatically says that, you know, Conor McGregor's the reason why the UFC is at where it's at today. Personally, I think you got to put Ronda Rousey in that conversation. Before Conor McGregor, Ronda Rousey was carrying that company on her back. No disrespect to anyone else, but she was the pay-per-view draw and she was doing the madness. She was stopping people for fun. She was exciting. She was main eventing. But I don't agree with this statement. And look, I'll never downplay what Dana White has done for the UFC in the past. Like, he took it from obscurity to being one of the most loved sports in all of the world. But I also think there's been a tipping point, and he's gone past that tipping point to the point now where I think he is a problem for the UFC. I think he has almost become the UFC as opposed to UFC being an entity that he runs. He, in my opinion, makes decisions based on what he wants as opposed to what's best for the company and what's best for business. He makes decisions from an emotional standpoint, which is something you shouldn't do as a president, in my opinion, of an organization like this. And he constantly is contradicting himself, which leaves the fighters in limbo and also us as fans and content creators in limbo as well. I think Dana White has done amazing things for MMA and for the UFC. But I don't agree that if he was to leave, that the UFC wouldn't still be the major force in the MMA world. It would still be the top force because it has the best fighters, has the best marketing, has the best platforms, gives us the most to speak about. So I don't think it'd be an issue at all. I actually think it'd be quite a nice refresh in the same way when Vince left WWE and Triple H took over. There was a surge in viewership and fanfare, etc. I think the same would happen with the UFC. Who would be the person to take over? That's another conversation. But for me personally, I actually think the UFC should be moving on from Dana White at this point. Will they? Probably not. But I've got to disagree with Ronda here. But I understand why she says that, because they work so well together. And the two of them synonymously did great things for the UFC. But shout out to Liam. Won't miss Dana White announcing cars on IG Live. It's what I'm saying. Like, this is what I mean. Like, never do I see Triple H going on Instagram Live and be like, right, guys, the main event for WrestleMania 42 is da 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 da. No, that's built up in storyline and then given a proper announcement. Like, you just don't see those sort of things. And for me, Dana's got to change that quick, but I don't think he will, because he's comfortable making his money. It's not his priority anymore. Boxing's his priority. Slaps his priority. So this is what happens, guys. So, people, look, I'm going to wrap up there. Big up to all of you who've watched and listened. Please do like the video. Greatly appreciated. Trying to grow the channel. Trying to get to 10K by the end of the year. It's a tough ask, but Got to try and make things happen. But people, look, it's been an absolute pleasure. Big up to each and every one of you. And gonna drop another video hopefully this evening, Matchmaker Monday, looking at some of the fights that happened over the weekend and some of the matches that could be made off the back of it. So yeah, people, sit back, relax. Thanks all for watching and listening. My name is Callum, repping the Sanderson Show. Man, now you go. Take care.